Mike's Music Method. Come on in. We've got the How to Get Better at Guitar series continuing here. If you've watched the previous 3 episodes on the cage system and triads on the first and second string set, this one will be a breeze. It's the same concept but applied to the next string set. So let's get in and learn it. And the bonus is that we will learn a little Hank Williams tune, My Bucket's Got a Hole in It. Let's start with an A major chord. If you did your homework, you'll remember we've got this shape on A, so we'll just start with this big E shape. So the first string set, 5, 5, 6. The second string set, we're just building on that idea, right? No mystery. 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to learn the third one where we're using the third string, the fourth, and the fifth. And I've got the 6th fret, the 7th, and the 7th. And that's it. So I'm just playing those 3 notes. Now, why am I playing those 3 notes only and not different ones in the chord? It's just called a different voicing. And the more music you listen to, the better you get at guitar. Often you realize, like, less can be more, right? You don't always want to play an A chord that's big strummed. You might want to play something higher or something lower, but not quite as involved. And also knowing these 3 notes of the triad help you with arpeggios, help you with soloing, help you with songwriting, with chord extensions where you're changing one of the scale degrees to a different note to give you a different kind of sound. Right, that's our A chord with a major 9. So it helps you kind of learn music theory as well. So here we have an A chord, but the 5th is in the bass. We have the E in the bass, and A is A, C sharp, E. I'm playing it this way. There's going to be context where you're going to finger it differently, so it doesn't really matter. But we got 6 on the 3rd string, 7 on the 4th, 7 on the 5th string. And those notes are C sharp, my A is in the middle, so my root's in the middle, and then E. And remember, this applies to any bar chord E shape, right? If this is a G, those 3 notes make up the chord. Now, one thing I mentioned last time, I believe, if not, I'm saying it now, and if I did before, it's worth repeating. This is really important. In that cage system, when we go from the E to the D, you can play the chord that way, that's fine. But just know that when I do on this string set, just like when I did on the previous string set, that's not really the full chord. It's not wrong, right? You can, like, a power chord isn't wrong. Power chord's just G, in the key of A, it's just A and E. There's no C sharp. But it doesn't mean I can't play this in replacement of an A chord. But what I'm trying to teach you is where those 3 notes in any given chord are. So in this case, when we've got that E shape, we can play these 3, and it's fine. So when I'm playing this D shape, we're still in the key of A here, right? I'm still giving you an A chord in the D shape. I know the language is confusing. But when I play these 3, it's fine, it works, but just know it's not all 3 notes in the chord. Again, musically and creatively that doesn't matter, but theoretically I do want you to know that. This note is an E, here's an A, and then this is just another E. It's just an octave. So you have 2 of the notes in an A chord, but not all 3 of them. And I'm trying to show you where those triads are just as a blueprint, but playing it like this wouldn't be wrong. We're just learning where all those 3 notes are. So we got the first one. We're going to skip the D shape and end up on the C shape, right? Caged, E, D, back to the C shape. And we're on the 12th fret. Sorry, I'm playing the wrong one. I'm looking at you. So I've got my pinky on 12. That's my root. So now we're in root position, right? You think of your C chord, but I'm using my pinky, the 12th fret. Then underneath it, I got 11. Underneath that, I have 9. And this makes a lot of sense to more beginner guitarists because you have your root, you have your major 3rd, and your perfect 5th. They're in order, they're stacked. If you think of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So that's the beginnings of our C shape. You could play all of them, but we're just learning on that string set. So remember, we have this leap. I'm envisioning in my mind that my low A is here, or here, right? You gotta keep your octaves in mind. So then from there, I need to go to my A string now, and that's there. It's this C shape octave. Lots of ways to think about it. You can think of the shapes, or I also have it memorized. I know that the 12th fret is an A. I'll do a video on power chords where we'll talk about memorizing all the notes on these two strings. I've discussed before, but it's worth doing again. So we've got that first shape, which is the E shape, then I go up to the C shape on the 12th fret. And the notes there are E, A, C sharp, A, C sharp, E. And we could go up again, but if you're on the acoustic, I won't do that to you. So we'll go down, but we would have the C shape, then it'd be the A shape, but again, the A shape, let's just do it here, open 2-2. That works, but it doesn't actually have all three notes. We have A, E, and another A, which is fine. You can play it, but just know it doesn't have all three. So from there, we go up to the G shape. And the way I think of this one is my A. Again, my A is here for the E shape, but I'm going to build it the other way to make the G shape. Right? If my capo was on the 2nd fret, then I would just play a G chord here. But I need to bar that. And the way we do this, we're going to get rid of that pinky, so we don't need that 5. We're going to do 4, 2, 2. And guess what? That actually is all three notes of the A chord. I've got my C sharp, my E, and my A. So I have the one here, the E shape, the one here on the 12th fret, the C shape, and then the G shape over here. And honestly, for me to say those things to you, it confuses me as well. Like, I don't think in the language. I'm basing all of this on those octaves. I know anytime I got an octave on this low string, I can go there. I can also go that way from it. So that's pinned in my head. And then from there, I think, well, there's my next A octave, and I know I can go here. And I know my other octaves here, and I know to build from that when I go here. So again, I'm not like going through my brain the G shape, E major chord, because that's confusing. It's semantically confusing. So I want you to play enough of this stuff to where you just kind of like, where you see it. You intuit it, and you're able to just kind of visualize it. That's A, that's A, that's A, because it goes from that one. And you get used to that idea. So for a while, just get used to playing all those A's in those different places. And besides just randomly memorizing it, because that's not going to help you on different frets, really imagine where those three are in relation to your octave positions. You know what I mean? Here's the E octave. Again, don't even think about the language. I just know there's, on the E string, there. Right from that one, I know I'd go there. I don't want to belabor the point, but spend time on it and feel it out and see if your brain can decipher that pattern in the way that your brain's going to do it. Might not be the same way as mine. Let's do the same thing on the E chord. The E chord, you can actually start on that E shape, and it's just going to be a regular E major chord. 2, 2, 1. Again, we have the 5th of the chord here, the B, then the roots in the middle, and then the G sharp up on top, which is the 3rd. And take your time, think about it. Where are we going to go from there? So we've got an E on the 4th string. Now it's going to be an E, and on the 6th string. So now we got to get the E in the middle on the 5th string. For me, I have it memorized. I know I'm on 2, so it's 7 here, right? It's the same note. And if I'm there on the A string, I know that I build that way to get the C shape. So I got 7, 6, 4. And that's root position because this is the E. The lowest note's the E. Here the lowest note is the B. Here the lowest note is the E. Now take your time, think about it. Where's the next one? Pause the video if you really need a minute. It would be this A shape, but we're not, again, we don't have all three notes of the triad. We have root, 5th, octave. So then just skip that one and go to the next one. Just take your time. Here, the way I think about it is I know this is barred, so I'm going to bar that with a different finger to move up the neck. And I got my G shape with my pinky on the 12th fret to give me E. And I'm just playing these 3. 11 on the 5th string, 9, and then 9. So 11, 9, 9, 7, 6, 4, 2, 2, 1. Those are all my E's. Another way to think about it, again, I don't know that it's helpful, it's too much language, but we use the E shape, we skip the D, so we have E, C, G. So E, C, and G, those are the shapes where you'll get your 3 distinct triad notes, but that might make it more confusing to think about skipping the shapes. Just keep thinking through it. The last chord we're going to learn is B, so a B major. You can find it in a bunch of different locations. If I was just going to strum a song, my gut would be to go here. But remember, I'm on this string set, I don't actually have all 3 notes. I just have root, 5th, root, So I'll move up and we'll start on the G shape. So think of your root as being 7, but we won't play that. We've just got 6, 4, 4, a nice inverted B major chord. Think about it. Where do we go from there? Yeah, we'll go up to that one. So 6, 4, 4, and then here's our E shape, but I'm just doing 9, 9, 8. Spend a moment. What's it gonna be? Yep, you got it. 14, 13, 11. Now I know that's pretty high. You can't really do it here because you run out of room. So the B chord, 6, 4, 4, 9, 9, 8, 14, 13, 12. Spend some time working through those. Give yourself some other random chords, but I'll give you more homework at the end. Let's learn our song. Chords to this song, Bucket's Got a Hole in It by Hank Williams. Super easy. If you don't know this one, look it up. It's a fun little song. All right, so we start out, it's in the key of E. Start on an E chord. Just get it in your head. Play the chords however you want, but it's E, A, E, B. Easy enough, right? 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. Now let's do the E chord. We'll do it in a whole bunch of different ways. Well, let's start here. Let's start on the C shape. So I've got the E chord, which is 7, 6, 4. Starting on that 5th string, right? So root position. And then we'll go to the A. And what you want to do, we've talked about this before, but again, proper voice leading. This is also what's beautiful about learning all these triads, is you don't want to this has a certain sound that might be effective in some situations. Right, kind of cool. I'm just using the same shape to go from E on the 7th fret to A on the 12th fret. But it's a lot of movement. You know, that kind of jumping thing can be cool, but in other situations it isn't. Compare it to this. Right, we call that voice leading. If each one of these was a singer, then to this next A chord, this lowest voice doesn't have to move. So that singer can go, that's why we call it voice leading. That singer doesn't have to move his note because that note E is in an E chord and in an A chord. So I'm doing the A, so I should show you first. It's this E shape. So I've got 7, 7, 6. So we've got 7, 6, 4 for the E. Then the A major is 7, 7, 6. And this middle voice only goes up 1. Goes from 6 to 7. And the top voice only goes up a whole step, from 4 to 6. So we call it voice leading because if you had 3 singers singing each one of those notes, this guy would get to step, the bass player could sing the same note, and the other would just have to move up stepwise, which is really beautiful. They don't cross each other. It's real subtle motion as opposed to everyone jumping up, a huge scale degree. It's a big leap. There's times where that's effective, but this can be really pretty too. So E to the A. We go back to the E, right? And then a B chord. So in my mind, I just go, all right, where's a B? Okay, right above me is B on the 7th fret. And I'll build the chord down that way since my hand's already in that kind of position to build down instead of up from the 7th fret. So I do the G shape. Get rid of that B though. 6, 4, 4. So now it's like I have 3 singers. No new voices are getting added. I'm not adding an extra string with a new voice. So your ear can really hear all these nice, simple changes. E to the A, back to the E, and then down to the B. Right? It's got I don't know what it is. There's like a regalness to it or a seriousness to it. Some kind of seniority about it, as opposed to the one that jumps around more, especially this inversion. And inversions just have a different flavor in general, right? When you're doing something always in root position, it's happier, it sounds poppier because I always have the lowest note as the root. Where here, that A is a little more pensive, that E is droning in the bass, and then this B with the third in the bass. It's, I don't know, more sophisticated. It's not quite as generically happy. So they're tricks that every songwriter and guitarist should know to be able to kind of create different moods. So let's sing through it. We got that E. How do I sing it? Well, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Can't buy no beer. So it starts to the A chord, then back to the E, and down to the B chord, then back to the E. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Can't buy no beer. Now, like always, let's play the same chord progression, but find it somewhere else on the neck to really get your brain and fingers putting this into practice. So let's starts on the E chord. Let's do it way up here, 12th fret. We're going to do the G shape. So we got 11, 9, 9, right? But I'm imagining my root there, even though my root's the octave on the G string. For me, it's still easier to default to the lowest two strings and think higher instead of the other way around. So 11, 9, 9, there's my E chord. Now the A chord's just right there. I'm just going to put my pinky down because that's my A shape. So I should tell you, 12, 11, 9, then back to the E, 11, 9, 9, and then we'll go to a B. You think about it, pause the video. Where should we put that B? Now that you've unpaused the video, you could have had two options with not too much movement. Go up to the 14th fret, kind of high, especially if you're on an acoustic. It would just be the C shape, 14, 13, 11. Or you could have went down to just your big old E shape bar chord, 9, 9, 8. So from the E, we got 11, 9, 9. The A is 12, 11, 9. Back to the E, 11, 9, 9. Then I'm sliding a little bit down to the B, 9, 9, 8. Now again, it's not the end of the world if you're seeing that your fingers are doing it different. I'm comfortable doing it, starting with my ring finger, ring, pinky, middle, or I could do middle, ring, pointer. Both are fine. For me, it's the context. If I know I'm adding a certain note or going a certain way from it, so just be comfortable with both. So let's play it. We start on the E. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it, eh? Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Can't buy no beer. So it starts on that 11, 9, 9, then to the 12, 11, 9, back to 11, 9, 9 for the E chord, down to the B, 9, 9, 8, and then back to the E, 11, 9, 9. It's a kind of weird song. You're on the E chord. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole, and almost sounds, it's like the verse starts on A, but you got to pick up beat on the 1 chord, and then it starts on the 4 chord. Pew. Let's do it one last time, and we'll keep it easy. We'll do it in the open position. So you already know what the E is, 2, 2, 1. And then A chord, right? Think about it. Where are you going to play your A? I know your gut just wants to do it there, right? And again, it's not the end of the world. It's fine if you do it that way, but we want to get comfortable thinking through these things. Closest A in my mind is the 5th fret A. So I'm going to build up that G shape there. So I got the E. Then I go to 4, 2, 2. Back to the E. And then this one's tricky. It's the B. And we already talked about it earlier in the video where you want to do the C shape, but you can't play it as a chord. You'd have to arpeggiate it because that string doesn't go low enough, or you'd have to switch the octave of that high F sharp. That defeats the purpose of this exercise. So you can just cheat and just play a normal A-shaped bar chord. But to keep the voicings on those same string sets, you would just take your A and move it up. Right? 4 and 5 are just related by 2 frets. If that makes sense, right? So we're in the key of E. That's my 1 chord. The key of A is my 4 chord. And the 5 is always 2 frets higher, no matter where you're at. So we'll exhaust the 1, 4, 5 in another video, like all the different ways to play a 1, 4, 5. That would be a pretty cool video if anyone's interested. Comment below. I've got so many ideas and not enough time to get through all of them. So let's play this then. We got E. It goes to the A. here 6 4 4, right? Because it's the same G shape as we did A. 2 frets higher, 6 4 4, and then back to the E. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Let's arpeggiate it. We haven't done that yet, so we'll just keep it easy, up and down. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Can't buy no beer. That's the idea. Well, let's talk about your homework. So your homework, make sure you can play the E, the A, and the B up and down the neck in those 3 triad positions on that string set. And then pick 3 other chords. Maybe it's F sharp, E flat, D flat. I know us folk guys don't like to do those that often, but if you're interested in other music, you want to become a competent player, do some jazz, do some, pop, R&B, right? They're going to use those chord progressions because they don't just throw a capo on like us folk guys do. So make sure you're doing some flats and some sharps. Same concept. It might be in between the dots instead of on the dots, so that might confuse you. Get used to that. And then make sure you can play Hank in those 3 positions. And then pick a song you love with only major chords, right? We'll get to the minor soon, I promise. And it's so easy once you have this framework. It's not like you're learning a whole new one for minors. You just tweak it real easy. But so pick some songs that have just maybe 3 major chords and learn some of the songs you like, or if you've written a song, learn those in a few different positions. And then the bonus is start to record these ideas, right? So for that Hank song, you might just have one guitar doing your open chords, the E, A, B, but then you have a second guitar doing like what we did up here. Doing some kind of simple picking pattern on a different string set. And then if you wanted, you could go back, revisit the previous material. Can you do your E on the first string set to the A, E, to B. And now you're putting these things together to create a really awesome sonic guitar landscape. And so that's your homework. If you have any questions, comment below. Best of luck with it. I hope this was paced okay. I always want feedback, critique. Guys, help me make this channel better catered towards you all. Right, until next time. Later. Pew!